Good morning, my friends. My name is Lama Jigme Gyatso. I'm the non-sectarian Buddhist monk, teacher, healer, and tantrika. So let's get to it. This is video 1 in the Karmic Purification series. Below this video, if you're watching this on the YouTube page, there's a link you can find that will allow you that will take you to a page where you can download for free the guided meditation practice text. Pause this video, do that now, so you can follow along visually. I'll wait. Good. So let's start right in. Now, quick introduction. Some people fret about the karmic propensities generated in previous lives. Personally, I don't concern myself with that. I concern myself with the here and the now, and I recommend that you do the same. But if you've already been convinced that you've committed karmic atrocities and you live in fear, those karmic negativities will ripen upon you, then this series of videos could help. On page 1 of the 8th set of lesson texts, we see a lovely line drawing of the founder of Buddhism, Siddhartha Gautama, also known as Gautama Buddha, or simply the Buddha. On page 2, we see the table of contents, the 6 R's of Satipatthana's 4 foundations of mindfulness. What does that mean? We'll get to that. This is just an overview. First lesson is introduction. It begins on page 3. Please join me there. So we see lesson 1, introduction, chanting, centering, meditation. So in this video and in the next few videos, we're going to explore the texts that we're going to chant before meditating, and then a concise meditation. The chanting, when you get good at it, will take you less than 2.5 minutes, and it's a wonderful way to warm up your heart and your mind and your body. The centering meditation will take approximately 80 seconds, or 1 1/3 minutes. So this is just a nibble. This is very, very easy to do. And we're going to do this incrementally because I do not want these videos being too long. Please join me now on page 4. Page 4 reads, First Lessons, Table of Contents, Chanting, Meditation, Karmic Investing. So the chanting bit that we're going to explore is the introduction. It begins on page 5. Please turn with me right now. Page 5, we're just going to explore today the first quatrain, the first 4 lines, the first sentence. Allow me to read to you. Meditation is observing how mind's attention moves, anitsa, moment to moment, in order to see clearly and precisely how the anatta, impersonal process of paticca samuppada, dependent origination, occurs. Now that was 3 foreign-sounding, actually 4 foreign-sounding words. So I'm going to read this again to you without the words. Meditation is observing how mind's attention moves moment to moment. Why? Why are we doing this? In order to see clearly and precisely how the impersonal process of dependent origination occurs. So let's explore this right now. Many people cling to the idea that all paths lead to the same goal, but they don't. Different paths have different premises, different techniques, and different destinations. That's neither good nor bad. It simply is. There's nothing wrong with Taoism or Hinduism or Buddhism. We must not confuse them for one another. One of the teachings in contemporary Taoism is pain. We want to think no thoughts. One of the teachings in contemporary Hinduism is perfect concentration. We select an arbitrary object, whether it's a visual object, an auditory object, a kinesthetic object, an intellectual object, and you don't allow the mind to move from that. That is what some people will call a contrived concentration. Buddha did not teach that. He said it's the mind's nature to either be peaceful or to be playful, and hopefully be perceptive enough to know when it's being spontaneously peaceful, to know when it's being spontaneously playful. The mind's going to move. So in view of that, we have three choices. A, we can repress mind. Never works out well. B, we can indulge mind. Never works out well. C, we can find the middle ground between those two extremes of repression and indulgence. And notice what's going on. We'll explore those techniques of making the most of what's going on in a future lesson. So basically, through the cunning use of noticing when the mind gets distracted from its home base, from its object of concentration, we can intuit impermanence. We can intuit interdependence. And we can intuit that this process is not personal. So let's explore those three ideas a bit more. We live in an interdependent universe where everyone affects everything else and everything else affects everyone. That flies in the face of the myth that we pick ourselves up by our own bootstraps, that we're our own man, and that nothing affects us. We're the masters of our destiny. No, we don't affect the movement of the stars. We don't affect the weather patterns as individuals. Yes, our ecological choices affect the planet, but I'm talking on a more grosser level. We don't say, let there be light, and the sun instantly rises at 12 midnight. No. We are subject to the natural and social forces around us. And if that erodes your self-esteem, if that takes us down a notch, if that helps to shatter the illusion that we are somehow the master of time, space, and dimension, we're good. That's much healthier. Narcissism and self-delusion do not help us. I spoke to a beautiful woman who told me that she was a master manifester. I said, great, master manifester. Where do you live? Where is your mansion? She says, I live out of my car at the beach. That's great. Everything changes all the time. We see the seasons change and observe the impermanence of the year. We see the moon rise. We see the moon wax and wane, and we see the impermanence of a month. We see the sun rise and set. We see the impermanence of a day. We feel our chest swell and sink and see the impermanence of a breath. Everything changes all the time. When we say that something is not self, we're saying is that we are not independent. We are not permanent. We're changing all the time. We change things, things change us. This is readily observable in society and in nature. None of this has to be believed. These are ideas which will be cultivated intuitively by the exercises that follow in future videos. Having explained that, we make our way to the second quatrain or sentence. Seeing and understanding how mind's attention moves from one thing to another is the main thrust of Buddha's meditation. So, when our mind moves, we don't freak out over it, we don't punish ourselves for it. We're going to learn techniques to make the most of that. The next bit, the next sentence is structured as a couplet. This is why dependent origination is so important to see and understand. The next sentence, it develops an impersonal perspective with arising phenomena that leads the contemplative, that's you and me, to see for themselves the true nature of all existence. What's that? What's the true nature of all existence? That whatever we see or hear or smell or taste or touch or remember or imagine or reason is interdependent, impermanent, and on some level, not me. Do you have to believe these? No. Are these fun ideas to play with? Yes. And by fun, I mean liberating. And by liberating, I mean they will purify your karmic negativities and heal their consequences. Page 6. We continue with the conclusion of the chant. Successful meditation is a highly developed skill of mindfulness. This 6 R's training is a reclaimed ancient guidance system which develops this skill. It was it's based on the teachings of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, and the Anapanasati Sutta, ancient Buddhist texts. The first R is to recognize, but before we do it, the contemplative must recollect or use their mindfulness observation power for the meditation cycle to start flowing. Mindfulness is the fuel, just like for an engine. Without mindfulness, everything stops. Being persistent with this practice could relieve sufferings of all kinds. To begin the cycle smoothly, we must start the engine with lots of mindfulness fuel in reserve. So I've just read this to you. I'm now going to show you how to chant it. We're going to chant it with a simple, what I like to call the triplet chant. So return with me to page 5. I'm now going to chant. Chant along with me. This should take us about less than 2.5 minutes. Let's begin right now. Meditation is observing how one's attention moves and needs to move into a moment in order to see clearly and precisely how the anatta impersonal practice of patitsa samuppada dependent origination occurs. Seeing and understanding how man's attention moves from one thing to another is the main thrust of Buddha's meditation. This is why dependent origination is so important to see and understand. It develops an impersonal perspective with arising phenomena and leads the contemplative to see for themselves the true nature of all existence. Successful meditation is a highly developed skill of mindfulness. This 6 R's training is a reclaimed ancient guidance system which develops the skill. The first R is to recognize, but before we do it, the contemplative must recollect or use their mindfulness observation power for the meditation cycle to start flowing. Mindfulness is the fuel, just like for an engine. Without mindfulness, everything stops. Being persistent with this practice could relieve sufferings of all kinds. To begin this cycle smoothly, one must start the engine with lots of mindfulness fuel in reserve. That, my friends, concludes the chant. Let's move forward in our text to page 7. Take a moment to adjust my online PDF. Page 7 is the exercise. And the page of exercises are approximately 4 exercises on this page. It will take you a whopping 80 seconds to perform. You can do this once every morning. You can do this once every evening. This is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. First exercise on the top of the page reads, in-breath, grin the lungs, out-breath, releasing. Here's what we're going to do. On the left, we're going to use those instructions. The bit that says in-breath, that's just like notation when you play the piano. And it's telling us, hey, this is what you're going to do on the in-breath. So during the in-breath, we silently and mentally recite the phrase, grin to lungs. We do that while taking an in-breath. On the out-breath, we're going to silently and mentally intend to release. And you'll notice there's a space between the syllables, and that's deliberate. Grin to lungs, releasing. Now to the right, you'll notice an X, an apostrophe, an S, and the numeral 3. That's notation that says, hey, we're going to do this exercise of 3 breaths. Now, how do we keep track of that? Simple. Notice, consider, if you will, your right hand. So what I'm going to do is adjust the camera so you can see my right hand. Here it is. You take the tip of your right thumb and touch that to the first set of creases at the bottom of your right little finger. There it is. And that's how we're going to count the first repetition, the first set of an in-breath and an out-breath. For the second repetition, the second in-breath and out-breath, we're going to move the tip of our right thumb of our right little finger to the second set of creases. For the third set of in-breath and out-breath, we're going to slide the tip of our right thumb up our right little finger to the third set of creases. So let's take a closer look. First set of creases, second set of creases, third set of creases. So left hand is in lap, palm up. Right hand is on top of that. Thumbs do not touch. And we're just counting. Very simple. So let's return our attention to the practice text. Grin to lungs, releasing. This is a very subtle grin. This is not a scary clown grin. This is a subtle grin like that displayed by the Mona Lisa. We now come to the second, whoops, let me adjust the camera real quick. Okay, we now come to the second exercise. Grin to diaphragm. Of course, the diaphragm is the tissue, the muscle that seals the bottom of our rib cage and allows us to breathe. Allows our lungs to articulate. So where do we count that exercise? We count it on our right ring finger. So the right ring finger, we're going to start with the right fingers. The first set of creases at the base of the right ring finger. Then on the second repetition of the exercise, the second set of creases on the right ring finger. And then on the third repetition of the exercise, the third set of creases on the right ring finger. Left hand in lap, right hand on top of that, thumbs do not touch. Grin to diaphragm, releasing. Remember, this is not Hinduism. We're not going to be astonished or horrified when our mind wanders off like a kid in a toy store. That's natural. When it does, we're going to take a breath, smile, and come back to the exercise at hand. Just as a parent is not astonished when a child wanders off, they just reach for the child's hand and pull them close. We're not going to be astonished or horrified or mortified when our mind acts like a little child, curious and playful. We're just going to gently bring it back. We come to the third of 4 exercises. Grin to bowels. And that's another way of saying grinning to our intestines. So we grinned first to our chest, and then to the tissue at the base of our chest, dividing our chest and our abdomen. Now we're smiling to our abdomen, to our intestines. So grin to bowels, releasing. We're going to count this on our right middle finger. And we're going to slide the tip of our right thumb down our right middle finger till we come to the set of creases at the base of that right middle finger. And that's the first repetition. We're going to slide the tip of our thumb up. Oopsie, I take it back. I'm on the wrong finger. There's the middle finger. Let's try that again. We're going to take the tip of our thumb, touch it to our right middle finger, slide that tip down on our middle finger to the base of that middle finger. That's the first repetition. We're going to slide the thumb up the middle finger to the second set of creases. That's the second repetition. We're going to slide the thumb up to the third set of creases on our right middle finger. That's the third repetition. First repetition, second repetition, third repetition. Very easy. Together, let's do that right now. Grin to bowels, releasing. The fourth and final contemplation. At the bottom of page 7, below the dashed line. Why is that line dashed? We'll explore that in a future lesson. How long breath? Relaxing. So, in the prior 3 exercises, we were guiding our behavior. I will now grin to my lungs. I will now grin to my diaphragm. I will now grin to my bowels. Now we're asking a rhetorical question. Listen carefully. It is not our job to answer this question. This is a rhetorical question. It's our job to ask the question during the in-breath and the out-breath to relax. Our inner mind, there's a portion of our inner mind that loves to answer questions. And we're letting it run loose. By asking the question, it helps us to notice the breath, which is an extremely cunning way to concentrate. That's why Buddha inferred it in both the Anapanasati and the Satipatthana Suttas, as well, of course, as the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. So we're going to count this on our pinky. I take it back. We counted the first exercise on our pinky. We counted the second 3 repetitions of the second exercise on our ring finger. We counted the 3 repetitions of the third exercise on our middle finger. We are now going to count the 3 repetitions of the fourth exercise on our index finger. First repetition, second repetition, third repetition. This is easy, easy stuff. Let's do this together right now. How long breath? Relaxing. And there you have it. If you were to practice this without following along in the video, just by playing with this PDF, it would take you less than 180 seconds, less than 1 1/3 minutes. Now we've purified some bad karma. We've multiplied or generated some good karma. Now we're going to protect that good karma and multiply that good karma. So turn with me to page 8. Page 8, at the very top, the heading reads, dedicating or investing the good karma that we just generated. Below that, it reads the two purposes of oneself and others. That's a reference to a Mahayana saying that goes like this. What is the meaning of life? Why, the meaning of life is found in accumulating the two collections for the two purposes. Well, what are the two collections? The collection of good karma and wisdom. And what are the two purposes? It's benefit for myself and others. So when we say the two purposes, we mean for myself and for others. So let's explore that in greater detail. We read, by this virtue. Virtue in this case is short for virtuous merit. And virtuous merit is just a fancy way of saying good karma. By this virtue may now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas, wisdom, peace, love, and joy. And so what we see right here is these first 4 lines are all about me, me, me. When Sir, oh gosh, what's his name? What's the late British actor who got an Oscar for Hamlet? Sir Laurence Olivier. When Sir Laurence Olivier was giving his acceptance speech for the Oscar, he said in his wonderful way, acting is all about 3 things, me, me, me. And that's exactly, these first 4 lines are talking about ourselves. What are the Buddha's mental yogas? Well, all of Buddha's 84,000 teachings can be coalesced under 4 headings or organized under 4 headings of wisdom, peace, love, and joy. Now, there's something I like to call the 4 levels of mastery. The first one is ignorance of ignorance. And what that means is you say, hey, man, do you enjoy the Buddha's meditation? And you say, Buddha's meditation, I don't know what that is, and I don't care to know. Piss off. Awareness of ignorance is, hey man, do you like Buddha's meditation? Well, I don't know what Buddha's meditation is, but I'd like to know. Would you please explain it to me? So the spirit of inquiry, which is beautiful. The third level is contrived competence. So you learn to do something, and it takes great effort and great concentration. You do it okay, but only for a short period of time. And that's fine. The 4th level is spontaneous mastery, where you're able to do something just like it says on line 2, spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, like tying your shoes. So, how do we know when we've accomplished the path and we're able to practice Buddha's mental yogas spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively? That's the test of our mastery, of our enlightenment. The last 2 lines are, and now lead every living being without exception to this ground. Ground is an archaic way of saying level. In Mahayana Buddhism, there are 10 levels, or bhumis, the 10th level being full enlightenment. So wherever we're at right now, even by performing this exercise once, it's a good place to be. And so we're intending that not only do we master this path, but others join us on the path. Not because we're obnoxious and we knock on the door and we try to persuade them, because we simply accomplish a path, we become peaceful, loving, wise, and joyful, and they say, hey man, I want to do what you're doing. And we say, no problem, I'll hook you up. So, there you have it. Now let's chant the 2 purposes of oneself and others. We'll use the bookend chant, which is very simple. We're going to use a monotone, with the exception of the first syllable and the second to the last syllable of every line. Chant along with me. By this virtue may I now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy, and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas, of wisdom, peace, love, and joy, and now lead every living being, without exception, to this ground. All in all, the 1 1/3 minute meditation, the few minutes of chanting in the beginning, and the several seconds of chanting at the end comprise a practice that should take you far less than 10 minutes. Perform this every morning and every evening, and you'll be on your way to the experience of lightening your karmic load, feeling a much, much happier and resourceful and peaceful. I thank you for your time and your kind attention. This is a lot of fun and it's a good start. If you're serious about this, then participate in my next series of live classes. If you're in the greater Los Angeles area, attend in person. If not, attend a live class over Skype. Below this video is a lamajigme.com link. You can use that link to register today. If you wish to ask me a question, or make a comment, or simply send me a cyber hug, use the Facebook link below the video. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Namo Buddhaya. Bye-bye.